Hello and welcome to the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It's the top 16 superstars. It is the Central and South American region that we're focusing on, and it is the Manufacturer Series race that is going to be coming up for you. My name is Tom Brooks, alongside me, Jimmy Broadbent. And Jimmy, this is going to be very exciting. We love the Manufacturer Series purely because of the depth of field, the different machinery that we see on track. It is going to be an absolute cracker.
I mean, sometimes we see in Nations Cups that everyone likes to stay in one car. Luckily, not the same in manufacturers. Everyone has to pick the car associated with their chosen mark, and it means we get a fantastic varied field. And of course, different cars, different strengths, different weaknesses, gives us better racing.
Certainly does. Well, the Manufacturer Series going into this event for the top 16 superstars looks like this. Elite Didico leads the way, 6,916 points. He has got a significant advantage, as you can see, over the Jaguar of Cars Hell's Fire in second position there, but closer a little bit further down the order between Bernal and Bouzy there in third and fourth position. You can see the different manufacturers up and down the order, and of course it's the top manufacturer that is going to be going through and representing them, isn't it?
That's right. So I mean, in the top 7 we've got 7 different manufacturers, which is always great to see. And just outside that is Orma Coveretti there, and his his fellow Corvette driver, or fellow Chevrolet driver I should say, is actually currently stopping him from going to the final. So he has to beat that. That's kind of how it works in manufacturers. You represent a chosen brand, and you have to be the fastest driver for that brand.
Yeah, absolutely right. You can see a little bit further down the order, you've got a Renault in there as well as a Volkswagen. So they look like they're going to be pretty safe in this one, as well as the Aston Martin. However, it could be yours to play for. Anything can change, and it probably will change as well. So let's have a bit of a look at the circuit that these guys are going to be racing on then, shall we? Well, it is a historic circuit in motor racing, the Mount Panorama Motor Racing Circuit. 6.2 kilometres, known as Bathurst to you and me. I am sure you've heard of it. The 1,000 kilometre race, the 12-hour endurance race that takes place every February there as well. And it is an absolutely stunning ribbon of tarmac. It's got slow corners, it's got fast corners, it's got tight and twisty corners with no runoff in any way, shape or form. It's got descent, ascents, anything and every characteristic that you could ever imagine, isn't it?
That's a very good sales pitch, Tom. You should be a salesman, mate. That
well,
was
do you know, I was in a life in years gone by, Jimmy. Could you tell?
But yeah, make sure you pronounce it as Bathurst. We had another commentator, you might remember James Kirkin here. I had to keep giving him a little slap under the table every time he said Bathurst.
Bathurst. So the problem is that's a southernism, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Anyway, you can see the penalty line on the track there as well, just coming out of turn 19, out of the Forest Elbow and onto the Conrod Straight. It's a very long straight, that, as you can see. So it is going to be crucial to try and not get a penalty there, because you're really going to be hindered with, especially how close the field have been, could prove to be very, very crucial in race conditions. Speaking of racing, though, we need to find a grid for it, don't we? So let's get ready, shall we, and head over to see who qualifies where. So then over to qualifying and indeed the on-track action. You can see here the Rothmans liveried Rod Trails leading the way in that Renault RS01. I have to say, Jimmy, that is a beautiful car, isn't it?
I've seen too many Rothmans liveries in my time. Tom, a bit cynical of them now, if I'm honest, but he's going to be setting our first lap time. I think he does. It's a 2:03.6 and throws down the gauntlet, which Bemke says okay and beats straight away. Does a 2:03.6, a slightly faster one. Sharp card coming through as well, a 2:04.6 for a second off pole, and TX3 Eloa goes fourth. Meanwhile, GTMX Kaiser is a 2:03.0, coming faster than I can say them. Tom Hellsfire comes in with a 2:02.7. Already the times in the early 2:02s. Will we see any 2:01s, I wonder?
Well, let's have an idea of what these drivers are going to be doing then. These 2:02s, as you say, they're pretty high 2:02s at the moment. What about the Volkswagen Beetle then, out of the final corner? Here comes Cobra over the timing line. Can he do anything in this one? Let's see what it will do for his time. He goes up to 9th position, just inside the top 10 there, a 2:04.4. Elite Didico, though, top of the pile, a 2:02.2. So brilliant lap there for the Porsche 911 RSR driver. He goes to the top of the timesheets.
Never thought I'd see a Chrome Beetle race before, and then beaten by a slightly faster Beetle there, driven by Didico. But no, great to see the variation and just the amount of manufacturers we have in this race being represented. Now we've seen that Porsche seems to do really well at this track at Bathurst. Didico, I think, in a decent position. You know, he's already got half a second on the entire field, and the only driver I think that maybe would have had a chance against him around here doesn't really take part in manufacturers, which is Mr. Igor Fraga.
Yeah, absolutely right, as you say there, Jimmy. His focus is solely on the Nations Cup, and well, rightly so as well. We have seen some brilliant performances from Igor Fraga already in 2019, so we'll keep a keen eye on how he's going to be doing in the remaining Top 16 Superstars events, and also, of course, in the World Tour events that are to come later this year. The next World Tour event, of course, in the middle of June at the Nürburgring 24-hour event, where it all kicked off really last year as well, and I'm so excited for that this year.
It seems like a long time ago. I remember the nervous feeling of sitting there on the stage for the first time, and the absolute pleasure it was to be part of that, and of course get to watch the end of the race as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a story for another time. So some of the drivers opting to come in now. We've seen this quite a lot in the qualifying sessions. You'll do a couple of laps, burn the fuel off, then come in and get a fresh set of tyres, and then go for a quicker lap afterwards. So a lot of the drivers opting for that strategy. It's why you see some of the guys going round at a very slow pace. He's trying to burn off that fuel. Now in Gran Turismo Sport, you start off with 100 litres of fuel by default. You can't choose that amount, and then you have to essentially go around, burn off the fuel the best you can. The best way you can do that is by sitting there and being very nasty to the poor rev limiter, and then come around a few laps later with a lot less fuel in the car, and then a lighter car at that, so you can go a bit quicker. So I think we settled on Super Pole in the end. That'll be our preferred, I think, because it's good to have a bit of strategy in qualifying, but I think to sit here and commentate on it, it can be a bit odd when no one's going around. Everyone's kind of just sitting there and revving, doing this essentially.
Yeah, not only for us as well, for the people that are watching at home. They love to see action on track, as do we. We don't get our pleasure from commentating on cars that are, blowing the pistons out the top of the engines, trying to burn fuel off. We get the pleasure of watching cars on the absolute limit, don't we? That's the thing. I think there's pros and cons to everything at the end of the day, and it's just our opinion, of course, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, I think, at the end of the day.
D2 M6?
It is, isn't it? My goodness me.
That's a throwback, isn't it?
It certainly is. They've gone for the proper DTM Mercedes livery of the early 90s.
Doesn't quite suit the car, but whatever's good for you.
I appreciate the concept. I see what the thought process has gone there.
I mean, that's a theme you get in racing. And again, here's another example of that, the Castrol M6. I'm not sure if I've seen a Castrol M6 before. Someone will probably tell me that there is one that exists as well. Might be one of the Bathurst races. But anyway, we'll get back to the race at hand, and Ben Kay right now in the 5th position, looking to improve. He's on an outlap right now, so we're just trying to get the car warmed up and then sorted out for the lap coming up. Now comes through the last section, so right now just making sure the car is feeling good. One last check on the steering, on the throttle, make sure everything is responding the way it should be, and then prepare yourselves for a flying lap. Now 14 times tyre wear around it, as you're seeing on the top right hand corner of your screen, so the tyres go off very quickly, and that will not help whatsoever. Those rear tyres are going to be nice and warm now, not the right kind of warm, as we go down to Hell Corner and start this flying lap. Yeah,
absolutely right. Time beginning to run out in this qualifying session. These drivers are really going to have to think about their strategies and think about those final flying laps that they are going to be setting before too long. We've still got 2 drivers who haven't set representative lap times as well. PTY Ruben there in 15th position, and FC Bernal, the Costa Rican driver, down there in 16th place. They're going to be going for one final flying lap at the very end of this session. We're riding on board with Bemke here, and this is just such an incredible part of the lap, Jimmy.
I mean, this whole circuit, essentially from Quarry Bend down to Forest Elbow, is one of my favourite sequences in all of racing. It's such a fantastic process through here. Watch that right foot, the green marker. That's his throttle. Does it stay full? He's flat through there, throws it at the wall, has such confidence in this car, and you do it again through here, throw it at the wall, slight lift up here, then back on the power, right to the outside, again you get right over the curb again, lift, turn in very early because the track falls away from you, and try and be nice and neat. That was the perfect line through there, and now down here it's all about being brave. You're going downhill, gravity is working against you, and you can see Bemke there struggling a bit with the brakes at the rear of the car. Maybe the brake bias a bit too far back for the downhill section, but seems to have recovered well enough. Now down to Forest Elbow, turn in earlier than you think for this corner, because otherwise you end up understeering into the blue barrier on the right, and now is the relative easy bit. Stick your foot down, try and get a slipstream from the guy in front, and hope you're up on your best split.
Yep, down the Conrod straight then, heading in towards the chase. This is such a fearsome, fast right-hander. You've got to go over to the left-hand side before it, then you go flicking it into the right, hug the inside of the curb like your favourite granny, and then down in towards that chicane. Hard on the brakes at the 100-metre board, down into 3rd gear, little blip at the throttle, just wait, and then get on the power. And then you come under the bridge into the final 2 corners on this lap. First 90-degree left-hander, and then ready to come over the timing line. Let's have a look and see how these drivers will get on. What about Bemke then? It's been a relatively clean lap from him as we rode on board. Does he improve from 5th position? He does. He goes up to 4th at the end of that session, so a brilliant final lap there for Bemke, puts him on the 2nd row provisionally of the grid.
You know what's crazy for me, Tom, is that lap looked fairly decent from my point of view, and this man, Didico, has gone a second faster so far. He seems to be down on this lap, but I don't think this is going to be an improvement, so I think that Didico's time with a 2:02.2 won't be beaten by him necessarily, but there is still, of course, time for Hellfire and Kaiser. Saying that, Shartkart comes in the Chevy Corvette at 2:03.0, about 8 tenths off the pole position at the moment. We'll just double check here Didico's split in case there was an error. Let's see what he is right now. He's 3.5 seconds down. He's not going faster. But Truxo moves up into 2nd position in that very interesting D2 BMW. Only 2 tenths of a second of Didico. A fantastic lap there from the BMW driver. We've also seen the M6s go well here at Bathurst, so not quite surprising. Here comes the Jaguar driver, Kyle Hellfire. He does not improve, 6 tenths down on his best time. But a good quality session from him. Didico will come through just to complete the lap as a matter of discourse, really. Won't really change anything. And Ruben sets the time at 2:04.0, does go a bit faster, but still 14th position. Still waiting for Kaiser to come through. Has he improved? I think no, he's in the pit lane there, so I think that's like qualifying done and dusted, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Jimmy. As you say, a very interesting qualifying session. This man here, though, Elite Didico, got his lap time in early on in the session. Elite by name, elite by nature. He is at the top of the order at 2:02.205, 2 tenths of a second faster than this man here, Matrux 10 in the BMW M6, and you can see the difference of manufacturers inside the top 5 positions. 5 different manufacturers inside the top 5 positions. That is set up to be a very tantalising race, and look how close it is. You have to go down to 8th place before the gap gets over a second.
And when you have a circuit that's over 2 minutes long, that's a small gap, of course. Now, bear in mind round here that this is very much a circuit of 2 halves. We have 2 long straights around this circuit, so anyone who's maybe a bit further down the order than they'd expect to be, for example, maybe Rod Trails or maybe Orma Aspasito, they're down in last place in the Citroen. There's some very good opportunities to pass using a slipstream and then try and hold up the guy in front of you, or behind you, sorry, when going over the top of the mountain.
Yep, absolutely right. Well, let's get ready then to go racing, shall we? That is the grid order, and this is what we are expecting for this race. So 9 laps of this Bathurst circuit, racing medium and hard tyres available for these drivers. 2 times fuel consumption, 14 times tyre wear, a total driving distance, as you can see there, of just under 60 kilometres. Now, let's have a look at the strategies here, Jimmy, because this is where things get very interesting indeed. The racing medium tyres, around about an average of 5 laps or so. The racing hard tyres, you could in theory do the full race distance on those without pitting, but they are 1.1 seconds slower per lap.
Exactly, so we might see some guys starting on that harder compounder tyre with the idea of going straight to the end. Of course, that means they are going to be slower for pretty much the entire race and anyone else around them, which is very frustrating when you're a driver, I can tell you that now. Or we have seen some people try and go to the end on the racing medium. I'm not sure if that's going to be the quickest strategy, but of course that's up for our drivers to decide.
Certainly is, and that is what we're about to find out then. It is time to go racing for the Manufacturers Series for the FIA GT Championships. Top 16 superstars in the Central and South America region. Onto the track then for the Central and South America region Manufacturers Series race here at Bathurst. Elite Didico in the Porsche 911 RSR leads the field out of Murray's Corner and over the line to start the first of 9 laps. Who will take the victory? That's what we're about to find out as the race gets underway down towards Hell Corner for the first time of asking. Are any moves going to be made coming down this straight? It's going to be very close indeed. A little bit wide there from the race leader, Elite Didico. Is that going to compromise his run? Is it going to allow Matrox in the BMW M6 to close up as we come over the brow of the hill and in towards the mountain section, Jimmy?
You're looking back from Didico now, you can see that very fearsome, very large BMW M6 behind. Not something you want to be seeing really when you are trying to concentrate on about or your first time over the mountain. You see Hellfire a little bit wide there on the curb. That curb can drag you out into the wall if you are not careful. Luckily Hellfire managed to avoid it. So currently it's Porsche leading BMW, leading Jaguar as we go over the mountain or start the climb for the first time. And that Jaguar isn't tell-how, but yes it is, all over the place there on throttle. And behind him another one of the British marks, the Aston Martin, the glorious V12 Vantage. Absolutely fantastic in a straight line, not quite as quick as the others over the top of the mountain, so watch out for that when we come out of Forest Elbow.
Yep, down in towards the S's we will come for the first time of asking Elite Didico. He had a pace advantage of over half a second in qualifying, and that is proving to be very beneficial so far in the race. He's already pulled out a 1 second gap to Matrox, who we're looking at in the BMW M6 so far. As we come onto the straight though, this is where it's going to get interesting, because we know exactly what a powerhouse that BMW is, but gracing the wall like that on the outside of the Forest elbow isn't going to help his charge.
No, not at all. He's actually going to be losing time on the way down. In fact, I think that he might even be outside of the slipstream. No, he's just about gaining a tiny bit, but the guys behind him are definitely in the slipstream. GTMX Kaiser is gaining now on that Jaguar. Again, that V12 advantage very quick in the straight line. When he goes for the move straight away, goes to the outside, is covered off there by Hellfire, who comes back to take his line. And it seems that Kaiser will have to wait possibly until Mountain Straight, but now coming round to complete the first lap. Meanwhile, action still going on further down the field. 6th, 7th and 8th are covered by a not very big distance at all, coming down into Murray's there. Bemke goes up the inside, contact with Bernie. Oh, just about keeping it together there. I think that Bemke got off the throttle and let the Mercedes driver continue in front. Yeah, good to see a little bit of gentlemanly racing there.
Yep, sportsmanship is always important. It's not doing things that make you look bad, as we know, and these drivers doing a good job of that, even if there was a bit of contact unnecessarily down through into that final corner. Looking at Keisler though, here he is on the back of Hell's Fire in towards the right-hander as we come into that mountain section. Here comes Bemke past the Mercedes once again. They're side by side. The Mercedes tries to turn in. He goes into the wall. Does Bernal there, and he just manages to hold on to the position. It was a bit forceful, that one there from Bemke, but I think just on the ragged edge of keeping it all together.
I disagree with that one. I think that Bernie had lost the corner and turned in when the BMW was there. He couldn't ignore the presence of the M6 there, I think. While the first one from Bemke, I think, was a little bit on the rough side. I think that was fair, even though Bernie ended up in the wall. It's more his fault, I think, than the BMW drivers. But anyway, that is the position change. Meanwhile, 5th and 6th, just ahead of them, are having a little bit of a scrap. So that shark car there in the BMW. What are you talking about, Jimmy? In the Chevy Corvette. I think Corvette fans across the world have just added me to their no-no list. Behind them, we have another Aston Martin. So a bit of a Aston Martin sandwich right now is that Corvette. Let's see who has to grunt down the straight. Traditionally, the old big American V8s are quick in a straight line, but of course we've got the glorious British Aston Martin V12. Let's see who's got the most horsepower then.
Down the straight we go, riding on board with Orma Esteban here in the Aston Martin. 6th position he is in, over the brow of the hill, flicking over to the left before you come into the chase. You can see Shark Cart there already looking a little bit defensive, and he's going to be losing out here. He goes defensive into the chicane that follows. Can he hold track position? He defends it beautifully, but he's going to really compromise his run through that corner, potentially compromise his exit, and he's trying to compromise Esteban's exit as well. He's all over the road at the moment. They're going to be side by side coming down towards Murray's corner. The Aston Martin looks towards the outside. It allows Bemke a window of opportunity into that final corner, and Bemke slides out of the final corner as well, compromises his drive, and now he falls into the clutches of the Mercedes of Bernal behind as well.
See, that is the risk you have by fighting. You might put yourself back into or within reaching distance, I should say, of the cars behind. Touch distance is what I was trying to say. It's fun being a commentator sometimes. Coming up now to Quarry's Hellfire. Has Kaiser all over the back of him there, although that Aston Martin can't quite get it done. He's on the curb though, and that pushed him out wider than he would have wanted to go there. And it seems that Matrux in front is actually starting to fall back into these two now. So whilst at the start it was very much Didico and Matrux, it seems that Matrux has fallen back and now is being caught by Hellfire and Kaiser.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that the Aston Martin is looking like the faster car at this stage in the race, but he's just not having enough chance to move it. You can see the Porsche 911 there of Nacho getting all sorts of sideways. He comes up through the right-hander as well. Meanwhile, Shark Car has been given a half a second penalty there for one reason or another. That could be due to excessive use of hitting the wall, or it could be for exceeding track limits or something or other, but we didn't see what happened. But Shark Car there, half a second penalty which he will receive coming on to that Conrod straight, so that is going to be a big disadvantage with so many cars that are close in behind.
That's right, so basically loses his ability to accelerate for 0.5 a second. Doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it is when you're in the car. So we're probably going to see that demonstrated now. Look at Bernie, he doesn't want to wait for this penalty. He wants to get by as soon as possible. So now we're going to have an interesting viewpoint. So we're coming up to the penalty line. In that point, Shark Cart's car will go slow down, and look, there goes everyone on the way by. He tries to stay on the inside line though. He's lost a lot of speed there. Will Bemke get by as well? So he does. So Shark Kart loses 3 positions there. That will sting.
Yeah, absolutely right. That is not going to help him at all. It is really very much a hindrance. It'll give him something to look forward to trying to overtake, though. Meanwhile, Bemke, they're going off the circuit. We didn't quite see exactly what happened. Was there contact with another driver? Regardless, he ends up going in towards the barrier and comes tumbling down the timing sheets there as well. Big disappointment for Bemke after what has been a strong start to his race. He's really been featuring in this midfield scrap quite significantly. Meanwhile, as we cross back to the action for this final podium position, Hell's Fire still on the defensive from that Aston Martin. The Aston Martin of Kaiser at the moment there, Jimmy. No opportunity to find his way through.
No, not yet. The V12 run great in the straights, but of course seeing not quite having the performance up the top. Meanwhile, here we go. Battle for 5th place coming up to Quarry Corner. Again, that V12 Aston Martin just keeping it in front on the straight line like it's nothing, just keeping your foot down. Contact from behind. Looks like a shark car came in a little bit too quick there and actually stopped Bernie from getting by Esteban in the end. It kind of upset the car, but now Bernie looking to the inside of the cutting, not really an overtaking position unless you're really close, and again that grunt of that V12 Aston is just saving Esteban time and time again on corner exit.
Going over through the mountain section we are now as we ride on board with Esteban in 5th position. That Aston Martin looking like a bit of a sitting duck at this stage to Bernie at the moment, but then again in the middle sector he looks actually quite strong as he pulls out a bit of a gap to Shark Kart and also Bernie in front of Shark Kart there as well. Looking at Shark Kart here in this Chevrolet Corvette, doing a very good job so far, looking pretty comfortable, pretty collected as things go. We ride on board now with Coventry in the other Corvette, who's just behind Shark Kart on the road as we come down in towards the Forest Elbow and onto that Conrod Straight. Now, strategy is going to be coming into effect in not too far in the future here, Jimmy, as well. That is going to make things quite interesting to see when the drivers are going to be pitting for new rubber. I don't think a no-stopper is going to be an effective strategy in this race.
Well, seeing as everyone started on the medium compounder tyre, absolutely no one opting for that high compounder tyre at all. You don't have to use it. You can only use one compounder tyre if you like. I think we're either going to see pit stops at the end of this lap or at the end of next, and we'll see probably the top cars dictate what the rest of the field do. Anyway, here's Coventry. Let's see what these guys do. They're in the mid-pack, and we see that Hellfire from 3rd position has decided to come in and try and get the undercut. That's interesting. I would have done that if I were Kaiser, who's having trouble getting by the Jaguar driver. I would have come in there early and done so, but it seems that Hellfire maybe thought that was going to be the case and came in to cover that. Regardless, we'll see how that plans out when everyone else comes in for their stops. Meanwhile, camera, of course, on Esteban 5 here in that Aston Martin. Seem to be doing well around here, but not as well as this man, Elite Didico, the Porsche. Seemingly untouchable here at Mount Panorama. Yeah,
we've hardly mentioned him at all in this race, and for good reason as well, because he's been romping away out in front. Elite Didico, brilliant performance it has been from the Porsche 911 RSR driver. The crucial thing here, as we saw that pit stop from Hell's Fire earlier on, Jimmy, is where he's fed back into the pack. He's got a 1.5 second gap to the car in front. Now that's not too bad. That's a bit of enough of an advantage for him to have a bit of clear traffic, not get caught up too much from the cars in front, and just to keep him on the straight and narrow and give him a good chance to have a faster outlap, which is crucial really in terms of getting that undercut, as you were mentioning earlier on. Meanwhile, you can see Kaiser there kicking up a bit of dust, as is Matrox in front of him, and Matrox beginning to drop away now, beginning to fall away in terms of his pace, and it's allowed Kaiser to close up. He's looking really raggedy here as the BMW driver. You can see him all sorts of out of shape as they come down through in towards the Forest Elbow. Into the left-hander we go, and on towards that Conrod Straight. Is Kaiser going to be able to make a move? He's very close on exit. He's got a great run out. He's going to pull surely to the right-hand side unless Matrox goes defensive. He does pull to the right-hand side, nearly clipping the grass there as they run side by side down this Conrod Straight, heading in towards the chase for the 5th time out of 9. It's surely going to be the Aston Martin's corner and the 2nd position for Kaiser. Really very close racing, great stuff as they come in towards that chicane, and Kaiser very nicely done, very easily ahead and up into 2nd place.
Matrix had an abysmal lap that time around, really lost a lot of time there. I'm sure we'll see them probably both come into the pit lane now. Yep, in comes Kaiser. Matrix does not follow.
Very interesting strategy call. That's quite bold, isn't it? Because, well, we can see him struggling around with his tyres.
Bold is one word for it, Tom. I'm not going to say what I think of that, but we'll see. Maybe he knows something that I don't. But at the moment, Matrix is going to go for another lap and, of course, give essentially his opposition a free, faster lap. So we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, pit lane. The Aston Martin guys going to work on the car there and back out again, back onto the racetrack. So let's see where he rejoins. Now, where is the Jaguar driver.
I'll tell you what I want to say. Where's Hellfire? He's now in 6th position there, Jimmy. What was his outlap like? It was a 2 minutes .505.
That's measured from pit exit.
Oh, sorry, from pit exit, isn't it? So yeah, exactly. So that's not a bad outlap at all there. He didn't get caught in too much traffic there and thereabouts.
But the gap is this now. You can see these Hellfire and Kaiser were nose to tail, and now there's a car in between them. So actually, Kaiser's lost out there. The undercut has worked out for Hellfire, and now there's a very chrome-looking beetle in between them. So it's not gone well for Kaiser.
Nope, certainly has not. The Aston Martin pitting a lap later, which exactly is the opposite of what you said he needed to do, really. You were completely right on the strategy call there. If it had worked out like that, then maybe things would be very different. But hindsight is, of course, a very wonderful thing. We're looking, though, at Matrox, though. He is struggling with those tyres in every single conceivable way. He's nearly 3 seconds a lap slower in some respects than Matrox, than Elite Didico, rather, the race leader in this one so far, and he's just understeering, he's oversteering, he's all over the shop, isn't it? It's just not doing what he wants. He needs to pit because he's just hemorrhaging time at the moment.
I mean, I don't know. You kind of get to a point of no return with these kind of strategies if you're going to try and do a no-stop. I've not seen a no-stop happen on mediums yet. So I'm wondering if it's possible, but if you pit now, you're just going to say, well, I've just given away 15 seconds for no reason. So we'll see what he does. He's coming through up to the chicane now, and of course the pit entry is just after this right-hander. Will he peel over to the left-hand side of the track and concede defeat on these tyres? It's looking like he might do. No. So I think he's going to try and no-stop.
The thing is, as well, we're talking about this, Jimmy, we're talking about Matrox in 2nd place, the race leader, doing exactly the same thing at the moment. He hasn't pitted yet, has Elite Didico.
I did not notice that. Wow, okay, fair enough. So yeah, Didico's doing 2:05 in the front there. We need to go down the field a bit to try and find who's pitted first. Let's have a look at Hellfire. What time's he doing? We'll come across the line in a minute. He comes across the line now.
2:04.2.
Only a second faster behind. There's contact between the three of them. Where did they come from? I was looking at the time there, and it looks like Shark Kart was caught by surprise by Coventry behind, and as a result, look, here's Kaiser behind in that V12. He's got the run. He's going to go through the middle of them, 3 wide. There you go, squeezes through. Thank you very much. So uses the grunt. No, the Corvette is still holding on to the inside. Can Kaiser hold it round the outside and the fresher tyres? He does. Round the outside goes Kaiser, but I think he might end up in the wall. He does. He's on the rumble strip there, slows him down, but not enough. Kaiser gets 2 cars on the straight and goes up into 5th position. That was all a bit quick, wasn't it?
It certainly was, because we were both, as you say, caught at the timing screens, having a little look at the lap times. Meanwhile, Kaiser is doing an absolutely brilliant job of making his way through the field by forceful methods or not. We didn't quite see exactly what happened on our screen at the moment, so we'll keep an eye out and see if we do get an extra replay of that over the course of that one. But the upshot is Kaiser now inside the top 5.
It looked like to me it was 3-1 with Coventry trying to go up the inside of Shark Kart, who then tried to go up the inside of Hellfire, who luckily came out of it okay. Here he is now on your screen, and in the background then Kaiser was just there at the right time, and they're all slow up the straight. He just drove past them, and that was that. But now the gap is back down between 4th and 5th position, and look, here's Bernal in front. He has not stopped either, and is really again struggling on those tyres. So, you know, I might be made to eat my words here looking at the timing. Bernal is 5 seconds behind Matrux, and Matrux is 6 seconds behind Didico. These guys on the fresh tyres still have about 6 seconds to gain in, well, 2 laps.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Absolutely. Time will tell. It could be possible, but I somehow doubt it. It's about 1.2 seconds. They are faster at the moment, but anything can happen in motor racing, and it usually does. Let's keep an eye out and see how quickly Hellfire can dispose of FT Bernal at the moment. The race leader, meanwhile, Elite Didico, had an absolute shocker last time around. He was a 2:08. Meanwhile, you can see there Bernal really on the defensive from Hellfire coming through Hell Corner, and surely he's going to get a better exit. Is Hellfire in the Jaguar, and Bernal is going to be a sitting duck here. Down the straight we go, and in towards the right-hander of Quarries, which will follow over the brow of the hill, not even bothering to defend his Bernal. He knows his time is up. He knows he's not going to have enough chance to try and defend that position, and sure enough, Hellfire goes through into 3rd place.
There's not enough life left in that tyre, and just to go back to the live timing quick, our leader last lap, as you said, did a 2:08.4. Meanwhile, Hellfire, the Jaguar, currently in 3rd, did a 2:03.9. 2:39, so 4.4 seconds faster on that one lap alone.
Yeah, it's about 10 seconds though, the gap to Elite Didiko, the race leader. I just think he's going to be running out of time. So if Didiko can keep it on the straight and narrow, then surely he has pulled a blinder and gotten this one absolutely sewn up. But Matrox is the man who's going to be under threat and under pressure. We'll keep an eye on things. Anything can happen, as we say. If he has a really poor lap, it could put him very much on the back foot. The man who's going to be a sitting duck now is Bernal, because he's got Kaiser, who's really closed up on the back of him.
Yep, going over the top. It's going to be very difficult on those worn medium tyres. So here is Matrix against all sorts of sideways coming out of Forest Elbow. And that might be enough for Hellfire to get close just at the end of his straight. And there goes Kaiser, as you said, Tom, up the inside of Bernal first. I'm giving him a little bit of a nudge on the way through. So excuse me, mate, I've got stuff to do. I don't want to be bothering with you and your worn tyres. And now he'll have a lap unimpeded by slower cars. So saying that, I think Bernal was actually looking back at him. I think maybe lifted to make sure he didn't go back past. But here is Hellfire, second place, chasing down Matrux on the worn medium compounder tyres. So Hellfire has every advantage right now. It's going to be an absolute miracle if Matrux can hold on for one more lap.
Yeah, those tyres about as useful as a chocolate teapot at the moment there for Matrox in second position. Through the final corner we go, and just look, not even on the power going through there, and he was just so much closer, and he's going to find his way through even before Hell corner. Down in towards that corner we go, up the inside for Hell's Fire. He just has to back out of it at the last moment, but it's a waiting game. It really is. He's a sitting duck, is Matrox there. He could be said even to lose his podium position, because Kaiser in fourth place is very close.
I don't know, Tom, this BMW is fast in a straight line, so if he can defend before getting up to the mountain, there might be a chance, but he's really got to defend, and he hasn't got the tyre life to do it. So side by side again, coming into quarry. Matrix has the inside line. Hellfire, look at the difference in the tyres there. Drives round the outside of him like he's standing still. So that's the end of Matrix's second place streams. Will he be able to keep third? Because look in the background now. Hellfire is there. And no, he doesn't. He goes wide. He goes wide at the cutting into the wall. Loses the podium. And GTMX Kaiser is now up into third position and only 1 second behind Hellfire.
That is the difference between fresh tyres and tyres that are very much past their sell-by date. The upshot is that Elite Didiko, I'm sure he's just going to have enough of an advantage. It's just a little bit too little, too late for Hell's Fire, sadly. If the race had gone on for another lap or two, he would have surely been all over the rear end of that Group 3 Porsche 911 RSR, but even with the pace advantage that he has got, I just don't think it's going to be enough. I tell you what though, this second place could be up for grabs here as well, because between Hell's Fire and Kaiser, those two setting very similar lap times, but Kaiser is looking very aggressive. I just don't know if he's going to have a chance. Oh, but a bit of a moment there might present an opportunity for Hell's Fire coming onto the Comrod straight for the final time. He's going to be in the slipstream. Is he going to have the chance to be able to move it? You can see him closing in that Aston Martin V12 Vantage. He pulls to the inside, coming into the chase. It's the final lap for second position. Side by side we come. He's through. Is he going to hold the line? Hell's Fire goes late on the brakes. There's nearly contact. They're nearly running each other off the road. Kaiser goes off the road. He's off the track. He's down into third place, and a 5-second penalty is given to Hell's Fire right at the very end of that one. Elite Didiko, a no-stop strategy, a masterclass, and a race win in the Manufacturers Series. Hell's Fire, a 5-second penalty, so he loses second place after he comes across the line. Kaiser finishes in third position.
Might lose the podium, Tom.
He might do. He has. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right there, Jimmy. That is a disaster for Hell's Fire. Contact there that was, well, it was forceful, it was aggressive, it was what he felt he needed to do, and the upshot is it's lost him a podium.
It was a move of desperation there by Hell's Fire. He thought maybe if I can just get up the inside here, but the Aston just had the drive and he didn't get on the brakes late enough, and of course Aston was then fired off to the right, and then Nacho not really knowing where he's going there. He lost a couple of places at the end, not a great race for him. But of course, Didiko at the front, we didn't talk about him much, and that's because he was just absolutely dominant. A great race from Didiko, and what a finish to that by the top British marks battling it out. Makes you proud, Tom, makes you proud.
It certainly does, bit of British pride going on there. But GTMX Kaiser finishing in second place for Aston Martin. Elite Didiko, the race winner though. That no-stop strategy, we said it was bold, we said it was brave, and I tell you what, it really was. If that race had gone on for a couple of laps longer, he would have been driving by the seat of his pants. As it happens, he had a 7.8 second advantage at the checkered flag. Aston Martin of GTMX Kaiser in second. Matrox with an unlikely podium, given the state of his tyres at the very end of that one. And then Hell's Fire tyre missing out with that contact on the final lap.
Well, what I've learned from this, Thomas, these guys know more about tyre strategy than I do, so I should probably not comment on that.
That was absolutely incredible. You can just see inside the top 10 the Mercedes AMG of Johan there as well. Charcot, we saw him earlier on in the race, but sadly he fell back right towards the very end of that one. But some great racing up and down the field, some close racing in all quarters as well, and that is exactly why we love the Manufacturers Series, and we love that Bathurst circuit as well. The upshot is the point standings now look like this. Elite Didico has a commanding advantage in the title race. You can see he's the leading Porsche driver, so he will be representing his nation in that world final if things go as they are. But Hell's Fire there in second position, now ahead of FT Bernal, who had something of a bit of an average weekend there, really, didn't he?
Yeah, that score won't unfortunately count towards his total, but of course something that will count towards start with is that for Kaiser there and Matrux both moving up there to 5th and 6th respectively, so a good result for them. And now of course GTMX Kaiser really cementing himself as the top Aston Martin driver in the top 16.
Well, FT Esposito there we saw. Didn't compete here this afternoon, but I tell you what, he'll be very happy still being that leading Citroen driver there as well. And you can see the other drivers further down the field there. We see Omar Esteban, who featured quite heavily in that race, is in 11th position for the Aston Martin team, but he's not the lead Aston Martin driver. I tell you what, though, we've just gotten our breath back from that one. That was an absolutely fantastic race. The top 16 superstars for the Central and South America region proving to be as exciting as ever. Don't miss the next one. It is going to be on the 25th of May.